There are two words that terrify every college football player.
Hold it! What does it take to break you?
And those two words are strength coach.
Come on, baby, wait on that bar. Drive it now, drive it!
During the 20th century, there were obstacles where people believed that weightlifting made athletes slower and less coordinated. Blazing in the new frontier of weightlifting was Alvin Roy. This World War II veteran served as the trainer for the American weightlifting team in 1946. He learned that lifting weights, contrary to existing beliefs, made athletes faster and more flexible, as well as stronger. With this knowledge, in 1955, he persuaded Estrama High School in Louisiana to adopt his weight training program. This led to a perfect season in a state class 3A championship.
In 1958, he persuaded LSU coach Paul Dietzel to implement his weight training program for free. This led LSU to the 1958 National Championship, and halfback Billy Cannon won the Heisman Trophy. In 1963, he became professional football's first strength coach with the San Diego Chargers, and the first coach to legally administer anabolic steroids to players.
His strength building program was critical to the Chargers winning the AFL championship that year.
Despite LSU's success, the secrets of free weight training had yet to reach the rest of college football. Gary Beban, who led UCLA to a 1966 Rose Bowl victory over number 1 ranked Michigan State, and who would win the 1967 Heisman Trophy, was not in a weightlifting program in high school or college.
I had never lifted a weight in my life. In high school, when I played, there was no weightlifting. So here I am on a bench trying to lift 100 pounds, which I could not do. The mid-60s was the end of the pure natural athlete.
After a humiliating loss against Oklahoma in 1968, college football forever changed when Nebraska University hired Boyd Epley as their full-time strength coach in 1969.
At that time, there weren't any colleges lifting weights, and it was kind of a no-no because the rumor was that if you lifted weights, it would make you slower and muscle-bound, and it would hurt your athletic performance, but it was just the opposite. After 1 year of lifting, we went to Norman and beat them 44-14. That turnaround caught the attention of everyone in the country. The most famous coaches in the land were calling me and hiring people just off a phone call.
In 1976, 3 men, Dr. Greg Shepard, Rick Anderson, and Bob Robotham, founded the Bigger, Faster, Stronger program. As tens of thousands of high school athletes began to use free weight training, the lifts were the bench press, weighted squats, and power cleans. They also included flexibility and speed drills. Dr. Shepard worked under Alvin Roy in the mid-1960s, and in the late 1960s, he worked with hammer thrower George Friend. While training with the hammer throwers, he noticed that these men were 270 pounds and could run the 40 yards in 4.6 seconds. We interviewed one of the founders, Bob Robotham.
I, along with my partners, found out that free weights were superior to machines. And then understanding athleticism, it took a lot more than just strength development to be a great athlete. So that's kind of the overview of the program and how it got started. There's times we would do 300 presentations a year.
Bigger, Faster, Stronger was able to outsell the Nautilus and Universal weightlifting and circuit training machines.
I think their legacy is they were the pioneers of weight training in high school. And I think they started this whole thing, and it's evolved in so many different legs that have all spread out. But I think the founding father was BFS.
Dallas Grider, the newly hired football coach at West Bakersfield High School, was one of the first to use Bigger, Faster, Stronger with high school athletes. He brought Dr. Greg Shepard to Bakersfield, California during the spring of 1977 to put on a Bigger, Faster, Stronger weight training clinic. The focus was proper lifting technique and documenting improvement.
As a high schooler growing up in Arvin, California in the San Joaquin Valley in the early 1960s, Grider learned the importance of strength training while lifting 100-pound potato sacks as his main summer job in the packing sheds. After starring at Arvin High School and Bakersfield College, Grider would go on to be a teammate of Gary Beban at UCLA, leading the defense as a middle linebacker. In Grider's first year as West High's head football coach, the Vikings were 13-0 and won the Central Section title. In his 7 years as West High's head football coach, the Vikings had 77 wins, 7 losses, and 2 ties. His teams won 5 South Yosemite League championships and 3 CIF Central Section championships. His success would lead to free weight training spreading to Bakersfield and throughout the southern San Joaquin Valley. Despite these successes, there were some critics that free weight training programs like Bigger, Faster, Stronger led to serious injuries and health problems, especially for current and former football players.
Dr. Bennett Omalu was the first to publish research on the degenerative brain disease he called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, better known as CTE.
In 2002, he did an autopsy on NFL Hall of Fame center Mike Webster.
A brain with Alzheimer's disease features. So a shriveled, ugly-looking brain. But upon opening his skull, Mike's brain looked normal.
He didn't understand why that would be, but he became more and more curious. That became sort of like his little private mission.
What Omalu could not see was that hidden inside Webster's brain was evidence of a chronic disease.
And that decision would change the NFL, because if Webster's brain had not been examined, I don't honestly think that we would be where we're at today.
When he studied Webster's brain, he discovered it had diffuse amyloid plaques and there were no neuritic plaques. He found that this was from repetitive impact to the head. He published the Webster case in 2005. He thought the league would be pleased to learn of his findings, but when they were presented at an NFL meeting on concussions in 2007, they were dismissed. And the league, through lawyers, physicians, and other experts, went on to mount a coordinated effort to discredit Dr. Omalu and his research. Omalu said,
"The NFL made a very calculated attempt, a very mean attempt to decapitate me professionally."
The league eventually acknowledged his findings in 2009. Many former high school, college, and professional football players have suffered from CTE.
Those from the chiropractic community have the medical perspective that chiropractors should be the first to treat CTE. They point to former Chicago Bear Jim McMahon, who said he would have killed himself without chiropractic care. Others point out that athletes in other sports get concussions, especially in soccer. Fortunately, concussion protocols have dramatically improved in the 21st century at high school, college, and professional levels. Even with these problems, most agree that free weight strength training has far more benefits.
Weight training is extremely important to any athlete. Doesn't matter about football, anything else. Weights and conditioning are tremendous assets to an athlete in any sport.
And so we were with the Utah Jazz for 16 years. And as I said, we were the first paid NBA strength coaches. And after this 7-year study, every NBA team hired a strength coach. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they followed our program, but every team started using the weight room as part of their injury prevention program.
What these men did, pushing the frontiers of free weightlifting, forever changed all sports, male and female, not only football. The historical significance of their contributions became a core component not just for high school, college, or pro gyms. It was significant for most health clubs like 24-Hour Fitness, which emerged in the early 1980s. Those clubs began to offer free weights for their members to use. Around the world today, you will find gyms where many members are training with free weights. We thank these gentlemen for showing us that free weights can benefit anyone's fitness.
Drop! Nice job, dude. Nice job.